KASHTIRA is one of the biggest names in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, not only because of the domination that it displayed in the TCG metagame, but also now because a lot of its core components have come to Master Duel. Now, we don't have the full deck yet, and until we get the full deck, we are going to be seeing a much weaker version of KASHTIRA in play. However, it is still more than powerful enough and has more than enough tricks in order to hold a decent enough spot inside of the game. So this video in particular, there's a couple of different pure cash variants that I want to show off. This is one that I developed alongside a member of our Discord that took advantage of Small World in order to search for powerful targets, such as Arch Nemesis Protos. All of your monsters here, they're all different attributes, so it's perfect for the summoning of Protos, and it is a very easily searched for Small World target. And Small World also allows you to extend from pretty much anything else through the likes of a Ghost Ogre or whatever it is. You've got attribute matching hand traps to go into the relevant sort of KASHTIRA cards. Whatever it is, Small World offers you a ton of versatility thanks to the fact that your KASHTIRA cards all have different attributes, which is very, very useful. So we're going to be showing this off in terms of the sort of pure cash build. The ultimate win condition is just trying to decimate your opponent's resources using the Diabolosis, using the KASHTIRA Unicorn, and the Fenrir. You're going to win the grind game utilizing the Ogre and the Preparations Trap card, as well as Birth, constantly bringing your cards back. It's essentially almost like a control deck, except it wins not necessarily through control, but through grinding your opponent down. You're getting rid of all their key resources, you're beating them down with your KASHTIRA cards, and generally speaking, it's a good time. So it's a very different playstyle to how KASHTIRA plays in the TCG, but I really do enjoy it. We are going to be showing off a version of the deck soon that doesn't play the Small World package. It's going to be a little bit more focused on raw power. But until then, this has definitely been a very successful variant of it. We have people in our Discord going on incredible win streaks with this, having really positive win-loss ratios. So if you guys want to test it out, by all means, this is the version we were also playing on stream. If you didn't catch the stream, we played it pretty damn well on stream as well. We had some pretty good wins, pretty good losses, but all in all, ton of fun. So if you're interested in this style of content or anything else that we do here, be it our live streams, be it our competitions, be it whatever it is that you decide you like, make sure you subscribe to see more as it comes out. Like the video if you enjoy KASHTIRA, or if you just enjoy this type of content going on. And if you are so inclined, if you have the means and the desire to do so, of course we now have memberships on the channel. So if you want to help out that little bit more, it's always open there. We appreciate every little bit of support we can get. And yeah, let's just get into the gameplay. Alrighty, now these replays aren't in any particular order because the deck doesn't necessarily have any combos per se. It's more so just playing cards and winning the grind game. We are going up against a KASHTIRA mirror match here, at least to some extent. We are going to Ash Blossom their Fenrir, which isn't always the smartest play. If I'm being honest, you may want to hold off on that. In my mind, I was sort of thinking, well, if he searches Rai's Heart, we're in trouble. Unfortunately, he just had Rai's Heart in hand, so it didn't really make much of a difference. But they are going to start summoning out their boss monsters. They're going to bring out Shangri-La, or Shangri-I, I don't know how to really pronounce this name. But yeah, they didn't have very much extension, so they just bring this card out, and that suits us. That's very easy for the deck to get around. They're going to bring out Fenrir here, which is something that they very often do, and I typically just summon out something bigger than the Fenrir, go to battle phase and take the Fenrir out, which is very, very easily done. And now that they don't have their Fenrir on board, we can actually, start doing stuff. We're going to go Unicorn, grabbing ourselves the KASHTIRA Birth, activating Birth here so we can normal summon our Fenrir. Fenrir then gets searching for our Rai's Heart. Pretty standard KASHTIRA plays here. We're going to go Rai's Heart, summoning itself out to the field, boosting its level up to 7 by banishing the Ogre. We can now bring the Ogre back off of our continuous spell. I always call this a field spell because of the way its art looks, but it is a continuous spell. And just like that, we have all 4 main deck KASHTIRA boss monsters on the field as we speak, and that opens up a ton of extra deck possibilities. We also get to grab Preparations, which is awesome. And this is basically how the deck works. Normally you would go into your own KASHTIRA monster, but since he was nice enough to summon it, we might as well take advantage of that. We're going to go Big Eye, and we're just going to steal his, we might as well. Now we're going to go Diabolosis. Diabolosis then going to banish a card from his extra deck. We're going to detach the Fenrir, banishing his Zeus because he's sort of... And you're going to see this a lot for the next while. People tend to play doubles or triples of their extra deck monsters in situations where they can do so. So Zeus was the only one he really didn't have doubles of and was rather dangerous, so we decided to get rid of that. We're going to start locking up his zones here, banishing cards from his main deck as well. And now with Preparations and Birth, as well as our cards here locking up his zones. Our primary win con is not only going to be lock up, but also trying to grind our opponent down, win through constantly bringing out more KASHTIRA monsters, reviving our dead ones, constantly bringing them back. Even here being an evenly matched, we get rid of every card other than Preparations. That tells you how good this card is. Preparations is amazing. We're going to flip it up here. It goes to end phase. We're going to use it now to bring back a Fenrir. Basically, this card can, once per turn, bring back any KASHTIRA monster from your hand or banish pile. So we're going to be able to start summoning an awful lot off of this. Fenrir is going to get searching here, getting hit with an effect Veiler, which is fairly interesting. It's a good Veiler there. Veiler negating our effect, of course, negating our search as well as our secondary effects. KASHTIRA Birth, though, is going to bring back Unicorn from the graveyard. Unicorn then going to search our deck for another Birth, because we might as well generate as much advantage as we can. Bring back the Raise Heart from the banish pile, banish a Unicorn, going to banish 3 again to start Exceed summoning into another Diabolosis. Into the battle phase, swinging with the Unicorn, going to banish another KASHTIRA monster from his extra deck. I believe in this situation we were just sort of, we were praying he didn't have another evenly match, but apparently your boy was freaking, he was loaded. He had another evenly match ready to go. Very, very unfortunate for us, but we do have to clear out our whole board. We decided to keep the Diabolosis because we're going to be able to decimate his deck here. We're going to banish a ton of cards. He's got 8 cards left in deck, and we're able to go into Zeus here, which means we are fairly well protected while whittling down all of our opponent's resources. They have nothing left. They go instant contact, we hit them with a maxi, and at this stage I'm pretty sure they just scoop it up. Let's hit the fast forward on that one. Yeah, there it is. And there you go. That's it. That's the Preparations, the Birth, the KASHTIRA Shangri-La, whatever. I can't pronounce it. Make fun of me in the comments, I don't care. But basically, you're utilizing these cards to constantly bring back more KASHTIRA monsters, and each KASHTIRA monster is sort of like a mini pseudo-boss monster, and there's only so many times your opponent can deal with that. And the whole time they're dealing with these cards, you're banishing their extra deck, you're banishing their face-up cards, you're banishing from their deck, you're doing all of this and just whittling away the resources that they have available to deal with you. That means that KASHTIRA, if you're going to beat it, what you need to do is you need to beat it fast, you need to go in quick and hard, and you need to really shut them down. But if your opponent doesn't shut you down right away, or isn't able to get past what you have, then they're going to really, really struggle to find any level of follow-up, because you're going to banish all of their key resources, which is pretty awesome. I kind of like that playstyle a little bit. It's a little bit more slower, it's a little bit more control-based, and, you know, your boy plays Punk and things like that, so I'm used to playing combo, so this is a nice change of pace for me. But anyways, let's get into the next replay. Already getting in the replay number 2 here. We have the Rock in hand. We're going to start off with Fenrir though. Fenrir gets searching for our KASHTIRA Unicorn. Now we're going to use Sacred Sword, clearing the Fenrir off the board to draw 2, which opens up the board for our Unicorn. That's a pretty cool play that I like to do with the Sacred Sword, because this card doesn't only banish from hand, it can also banish from field, which is actually useful in this deck because you want to open up your board for more KASHTIRA cards. And now what can happen is our KASHTIRA Unicorn can grab back Birth. Birth then can grab back the Fenrir that we just banished, which means that we're in no weaker a position than we started. Small World gonna grab us the Ascendant of Thunder here. Just as another extender, we're gonna bring out Fenrir back from the banish pile, pay 3k to summon the Ascendant of Thunder going into Shangri-La. Then we will set 2 pass. So we got Fenrir, Shangri-La, we've got the Preparation, we've got an Imperm, we got everything here. And this is something very key. Our opponent plays around it well here, but if you were watching our stream, our opponents constantly fuck this up, where you want to flip this card up as soon as you possibly can, because if your opponent activates a trap card while this card is face up, you get to look at their hand and banish a card out of their hand. Now on stream, if you watch our stream, tons of people fuck this up, where they waited until we activated our KASHTIRA monster to activate their Imperm, but by that stage we had already flipped up our Preparations. What you need to do, which is exactly what this guy has done, is chain the Imperm to the Preparations, or activate it initially before Preparations can even be used to negate the monster before this resolves. That way we don't actually get to look at his hand. So our opponent, very, very smart here. They played around it perfectly, but most people don't, and you watch our streams as proof of that. We're playing against Sword Soul here, going for the Ecclesia, using Emergence to grab the Taya. Taya then going to banish the Emergence from the graveyard to grab themselves a token. We're going to go Max C here. I really wanted to... Well, we go Max C because I really wanted him to use Ecclesia, because we can't target the Ecclesia off of Fenrir because it'll just bounce off the field. So I really wanted him to use this card so that he didn't have this sort of tuner just sitting here. But no, he actually doesn't react to the Max E right away, so we're going to go Imperm on the Taya. It's still no reaction, so we stop the summon there, and now he's under Max E, so if he decides to do any sort of synchro summoning, he's in trouble. He's going to drop the Adara for the long wand, going to summon out that and a token. At that stage, we're going to use Fenrir, banishing the level 6. Remember, because you're banishing cards face down, you cannot target tokens. The token is safe. We cannot target it because we're banishing face down. You can't do that to a token. So we have to banish. We decide to banish the level 6, which will hopefully stop him from going for any level 10 synchro plays. Now they're going to go for the Ecclesia. We're going to use the Ash Blossom that we just drew off the Maxi on the Ecclesia here. So it sucks to suck. Should have used it while you could. That is, it sucks to be you, I guess. Our monster is still negated, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to go Draco Berserker here. Berserker is a little bit of a problem. We're going to send a Shuna to the grave. Now they're just going to go beat thine ass phase, taking out our Fenrir, boosting itself up by 2400, taking out our KASHTIRA monster, 5400, and the Banish built into its effect. This is going to be a little bit of a problem, but we do have the resources in hand and in play to generate enough resources to win the game. We summon back our Fenrir, activate Fenrir, he activates Draco in order to banish our Fenrir, which is, you know, decently smart, except it ain't gonna stop us. We get to search our monster back off of the Fenrir, and our preparations brings back the Fenrir. We just swing in, banish the Berserker, and we just win the game. That's what I mean. You can just sort of utilize your back row, in particular your birth and your preparations, as well as whatever number of hand traps or extenders or floodgates, whatever it is that you've got, and you just want to grind your opponent down. You're using your Unicorn, you're using your Fenrir, you're banishing their cards, you're controlling the board, and you're constantly coming back. That's where the deck strength is right now, in my opinion. I think the reliance upon the zone locking is dope, don't get me wrong. The Diabolosis is awesome as well. Decking out your opponent, taking out all the key resources is important. The zone locking, I don't think, is the deck's primary win condition. It's awesome when it works out, but it can be stopped. Like, you're one imperm from taking an L, you know what I mean, if you're relying on that. I really do prefer this style of gameplay where you're utilizing your back row in particular to grind down your opponent. That just works a lot better in my opinion. But anyway, let's get into another replay. Alrighty, getting into game 3 here, we actually have Protoss in hand. Now, the whole sort of design of this deck was trying to utilize Protoss as best as possible. It didn't come up a ton in testing, unfortunately. We go Maxi here in response to the emergence. I'm not sure why I used it right away, but I did, and apparently our friend had Gamma, so it sucks to be me. It was just a poorly timed Maxi, I guess. You're going to be seeing an increase in this card, so you are. You're going to be seeing more and more and more and more Gamma around another Sword Soul deck, which is pretty interesting. And Gamma means that, so both Gamma and Fenrir sort of contradict each other, because you're going to want to use Maxi right away in the standby and draw phase in order to play around KASHTIRA monsters, but then you're also not going to want to use it until they have a monster on board to play around Gamma, because Gamma's going to spike in popularity, and it's a whole thing. So it's really difficult to know at the minute where the best time to play it is. I still personally try to play it early because I want to play around tactics, I want to play around things like that, but again, you're then going to leave yourself open to Gamma, so you really need to sort of pick your battles. Playing into a full Sword Soul board here, we're going to need to see if we can pull out the win here. Look at the board they're putting up. What an absolute mad lad. Going into these two and then using the Mo Yi for an additional Dragite. This is pretty awesome. Sword Soul putting on a really good show here recently. Going to reveal the top 5 of the deck. I don't know why they're going to do that, but they are. I guess he just saw a shiny button and clicked yes. Now we're going to draw for turn here. We draw into Crossout, which is very useful because they go for Max E. We go for Crossout Designator on that. They're going to go Drag Out to negate the Crossout Designator. That's fine. We're going to go Called by the Grave on the Max E again. They're going to double up on our negates to stop our Called by the Grave as well. So we've eaten up both of their negates all off the bat. But by that same token, we still have to deal with a monster negate, a pop 2, and we are now under Max C. That is problematic. They're going to go Barone, they're going to tag out for the Taya because they've already used their negate, which makes sense. We're going to go KASHTIRA Unicorn, we're going to let them draw 1, we're going to activate, they're going to of course chain their Grandmaster, and we're in a spot where if we try to utilize anything else really, we're going to struggle thanks to the fact that they have that Blackout face down. We are going to take out the Taya before anything else. Main phase 2, we're going to activate KASHTIRA Birth, but we don't have any targets, and now they're going to go for the Blackout, wiping out the board. And just like that, we are in a losing position. Main phase 1 for our opponent here. Battle phase, swinging for 3k. It's not over just yet. They weren't able to summon anything significant out here, so we are going to go for try to draw a card. Unfortunately, we drawn the Sacred Sword of the 7 stars, which is why we don't play this card at 3. And there you go, 15 and 3k, easy lethal for Sword Soul. And there you go. I didn't want to sell the deck something it wasn't. It is not invincible, and it is probably not even top tier, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't see this deck breaking the tier brackets. I think things like Sword Soul, things like Tearlaments, things like Branded Despia, I guess, are better. But it's definitely still more than good enough to compete, which is the thing I'm trying to show off here at the end of the day. I'm not going to try and sell you KASHTIRA as some broken deck, because that's what everybody else is doing, and it's not true. It's just not. But anyways, let's get into the deck profile and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Alrighty, so having a look at the deck profile, what ultimately is the goal of the deck? Now, we've talked about it quite a little bit. It is grinding down your opponent. And through the actual construction of the deck, which exists primarily of course, your KASHTIRA cards as well as level 7 extenders, the idea is that you're just trying to be able to put yourself in a position where you can build a board, of course, turn 1, somewhat respectable board, and then be able to constantly rebuild that board while whittling down your opponent's resources constantly throughout the course of the game. That is the idea. It's not going to be a blitzy turn 1 OTK strategy. It's not going to be a million negate strategy. It's going to be about recursion, advantage, shutting down, and stripping your opponent of all of their key resources. So let's talk about the deck a little bit here. Now, of course, a large part of this deck is about this particular construction of the deck is Small World, because Small World allows you to bounce through things like your Unicorn or your Ogres or some of your other sort of extenders into very important cards like, well, basically any of your KASHTIRAs, as well as things like Protos or anything of that sort. Now, there's a ton of Small World bridges here. Again, if you want to look at this, if you're a Small World savant, there's a lot of bridges here. There's not a ton of them that lead to Protos, at least not as far as I can remember, but at the end of the day, it is still possible to grab this card, and it's not even the worst thing to have in your opening hand. This card has won me a couple of games, but it doesn't come up super often, if I'm being honest. But either way, it is still dope, and it's still a broken-ass card, so we're playing it. But yeah, this is the idea behind the deck. We just have a bunch of level 7s, we have a bunch of hand traps, we got the triple Maxi, we got triple Ash, single Ghost Ogre, we've got single Nibiru, we've got double Imperm, double Crossout, double Called By and a singular Crossout. So we have a ton of interruption and tons of sort of generic hand traps and extenders, which is awesome. Then we have, of course, our level 7 extenders. We have Astral Karibo, which will reveal a number exceed monster in your extra deck, like Diabolosis or Big Eye, summons itself out to the field and has that and has a level equal to the rank of the revealed monster. So it summons itself as a level 7. You have the Ascend of the Thunder, which pays 3k to special summon itself. You have Instant Contact, which will special summon out your elemental hero Dark Neos from the extra deck, which is another level 7. So yeah, just a bunch of ways of putting level 7s on board, which is pretty awesome. Helps out your general sort of rank 7 plays. And I didn't mention Shifter. You play Shifter in this deck because it's a great Small World target. It is a good overall floodgate. Helps you win a lot of games. You do not care about your graveyard at all in this deck. So Shifter is pretty damn awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much the extender cards around it. And then of course we have Sacred Sword of 7 stars, which helps you banish any of your level 7s from your hand or field in order to draw 2 cards. Little Pot of Greed. That's pretty nice. So let's talk about now the KASHTIRA cards. Now that we've talked about everything surrounding them, we talked about all the extremity stuff, which there really isn't much to say. It is literally just, bam, I special summon level 7, or bam, I negate your card. That's what every card in this deck that isn't a KASHTIRA card does, right? Now let's talk about the KASHTIRA cards. You have 4 main deck monsters, and you have 2 spells or traps. 1 spell and 1 trap. So the 4 monsters center themselves around Fenrir, Unicorn, and Ogre. And then you have Rezheart, which is a little bit different, but we'll get to him. So all 3 of these guys can special summon themselves to the field if you don't control any monsters. They all have an effect that activates when they attack or when your opponent activates a monster effect. Fenrir will banish a face-up card on your opponent's field, face down. Unicorn will look at your opponent's extra deck and banish any card in it, face down. Ogre will let you look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and banish one of them, face down. There you go. Pretty straightforward stuff. And they all also have a search effect. Fenrir searches a monster. Unicorn searches a spell. Ogre searches a trap. It's like a triangle. 3 cards, they're really, really, really simple. High attack power, easy to summon, search effects, and they just help you win the grind game. That's the way these cards feel, almost like the way they feel like they're designed. It's to win a grind game, to win a long game, to strip your opponent of their resources. You have Raise Heart, which is a little bit different. This card can special summon itself to the field if you control a KASHTIRA monster, which is good. So he's your extender that's built into the archetype, searchable off of Fenrir. Raise Heart then can banish 3 cards from the top of your opponent's deck face down, and then you banish a KASHTIRA card from your deck, banish the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, and then this card's level becomes 7. So he just changes himself to level 7, which helps him factor in to the rest of the deck's theme, which is going to be rank 7 summons. Pretty good stuff. Him banishing a KASHTIRA card from deck is also very useful, considering the next card we're going to talk about, KASHTIRA Birth. KASHTIRA Birth not only has a passive effect of allowing you to normal summon a level 7 monster without tributing, which we're going to see play of that effect in particular, not only in this deck, but also in a few other really fun decks we got planned, where you can just normal summon level 7s, which is awesome. Then during your main phase, you can also special summon back a KASHTIRA monster that is in your banish pile or graveyard. Being able to bring back KASHTIRA cards off of this is amazing, because this will allow you so many opportunities to generate crazy amounts of advantage, because you can just loop your guys every single turn, which is awesome. And KASHTIRA Preparations is not super different to that. During this card, basically during either player's turn, you can special summon back a KASHTIRA monster that's either banished or in your hand, not the graveyard, from your hand. So these 2 cards help you bring back cards over and over, and they also have effects similar to the original KASHTIRA monsters. This one, whenever your opponent activates a spell card, will banish 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard face down. Excellent against the likes of Runic, Sky Strikers, all of these decks that want to activate a ton of spells, that really rely upon having tons of stuff in their graveyard, and basically any deck that loves having stuff in grave. Ironically, it's not too great against the likes of tier limits and things, and you would think it would be, but tier limits don't play a ton of spell cards. They're primarily using monster effects most of the time, so it doesn't come up nearly as often. But against the likes of Runic, against the likes of Sky Striker, this card is brutal. And you can, of course, catch a tier limit player, or you can catch some of these other players off guard with it if they do end up activating a spell. I'm just saying it's not as common a situation where you're already going to have this face up, and then your opponent starts activating spells while also having banishable materials in grave. It's a whole thing. But Runic and Sky Strikers, fuck them. Then we got Preparations. Preparations, whenever your opponent activates a trap card, you get to look at their hand, pick any card you want, and banish it face down. Now that is a brutal, brutal, brutal effect, but it only activates in response to a trap card. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, okay, that's not going to be nearly as applicable. And you're right to an extent, but you need to remember the fact that the KASHTIRA monsters are built in such a way that's going to encourage people to play Infinite Impermanence. You can react to Sulliek, you can react to Crime, you can there's a lot of trap cards in this meta. Branded Beast, there's a lot of decks that play traps, and I know the standard Yu-Gi-Oh player interpretation of, well, traps don't exist, they're garbage, so why would you worry about it? They do, they really do, and I feel like people don't people underestimate that. Even if you consider Labyrinth is a deck right now. Like, this card is gonna really punish a Labyrinth player for activating the wrong trap at the wrong time. So KASHTIRA Preparations is a lot better than I think people give it credit for. I'm not saying it's broken, I'm not saying it's like gonna be a crazy card or you're gonna use that effect every single game. No, probably not. But even just its first effect is enough reason to play it, and that second effect is incredible if it resolves, if your opponent's playing the likes of Imperm. Watch our stream where we played this, because more than once, it happened again and again, we would flip this card up in standby phase or in draw phase, and then we would activate our KASHTIRA Shangri-La's effect, and then our opponent would use an Imperm on it. And then because they use an Imperm, well, we get to look at their hand. We get to pick a card, we get to banish it, and we would win games because of that effect. Really, really good. And that's pretty much the whole main deck. Really not that much to talk about. Your main deck is literally either a KASHTIRA, or I special summon a level 7, or I negate your card. That's your entire main deck. It's really not that complicated. because the entire point is winning a grind game, which means you're just resource looping and trying to whittle down your opponent. It's the whole point. Into the extra deck, we've got Dark Neos, just to be summoned off Instant Contact, just as a level 7 extender. We've got Baron de Fleur, which is just here in case we need to like normal summon an Ash Blossom with one of our KASHTIRAs, because we can do it. Your extra deck isn't particularly tight here. You can take this out. I've literally not used it at all. It's a cool card, and you might want to use it at some stage, but if you want to play just more rank 7s, you can. One in particular that I like the look of, that I don't have in this list right now, is this number 76. I really like the look of number 76. So if you didn't want to, fuck around with Baron de Fleur, this is an option as well. Big Eye lets you steal an opponent's monster permanently, which is great. The amount of times we've stolen an opponent's KASHTIRA Shangri-La monster, I don't know how to pronounce this. The amount of times we've stolen one of these and just used it as if it's our own constantly is brutal, and Big Eye really does help a lot with that. We're playing 2 of it just so it doesn't get banished, playing 2 Diabolosis because so it doesn't get banished off like double unicorn. Once per turn, you can detach a material off this card, look at your opponent's extra deck to banish a monster from it face down. At the end of the battle phase, if it destroyed a monster by battle, you can target a card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it face down. So just a bunch of banishing effects, which is neat. But its next effect is pretty damn awesome as well, where if your opponent has a card banished face down, then you can look at the number of cards they have banished face down and banish that number of cards from your opponent's deck, which is awesome. So you can really whittle down their resources super fast with Diabolosis here. And we're playing 2 of them as well because of that. And this guy works extremely well with our other primary KASHTIRA monster, as well as, of course, our other KASHTIRA cards that are banishing shit face down. We got Dark Armed, the Dragon of Annihilation. This is just a generic level 7. You can detach a material to pop a card and then banish a monster from your graveyard. And that's not once per turn, that's per material, and you can use more than 2 materials from him if you are so inclined. But typically speaking, he's just a nice little fallback option to break a board. Number 76, like I said, I wasn't actually playing this card, but I have played it in other KASHTIRA versions, and if you didn't want to play Baron de Fleur, you played this instead, I think, where this card's attributes are treated as though they are the attached material's attributes. So it's not inherently a light. Usually you're going to use at least 2 of our attributes for it, because all of your KASHTIRA cards are different attributes. So this card gains the attributes of all of its materials, which is neat because of its next effect. It can't be destroyed by battle or by the activated effects of opponent's monsters with that same attribute. And as a quick effect, you can detach, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, detach a material, and then attach that opponent's target to this card as material. So you get to disrupt their graveyard and steal a card from their graveyard, while also making yourself immune to the attribute of the card that you targeted, which means your immunization now becomes directly relative to your opponent's strategy. You can become immune to their attributes, which is pretty dope. So this card is, it's neat for sure. Nice little bit of graveyard disruption. I don't think it's not powerful enough to the point where you're going to be playing it every game or anything like that, but it is a cool little option. I do like this card. So if you're looking for another card to play, this is definitely a decent one. If you really didn't want to play it though, you can cut it and maybe just play like another Diabolosis or something. But it is up to you. I just thought it was neat. We got KASHTIRA here. So this card, during the standby phase, will summon any KASHTIRA monster from the deck, which is incredible because remember, all of your KASHTIRA monsters are essentially mini bosses, which is great. You can get them all into circulation and start banishing your opponent's cards. And this card also, every time a card your opponent controls is banished face down, you can target an unused main zone, a monster or spell or trap card zone, and make that unusable so long as this card is face up. So there's a lot of replays out there and a lot of decks that are built around this card locking down every single monster and spell and trap card zone your opponent has and winning you the game, which is brutal. I really am not a fan of that strategy. I'm not a fan of the fact that that strategy exists. I really think that that is the part of KASHTIRA that I'm going to despise the most, the whole zone locking shenanigans. I can deal with an Arise Heart, I can deal with all of this other shit, but this dude locking up zones I think is just incredibly toxic. But it's here, so we're playing it. Playing it at free so it doesn't get banished off our opponent's Diabolosis and the likes. I really don't like that zone locking. That's going to become toxic as shit. Anyway, We got Zeus, because of course we have Zeus, and then just a bunch of generic links. I think the only one of these I ever used was Cerberus, because there was one situation in which I really needed to get rid of a card. I can't remember what the situation was now, and it's going to kill me, but the rest of these cards I never used. It is pretty awesome though, because you can use, of course, Gloomy to start yoinking stuff from your opponent's graveyard, go into Selene, bring back one of your cards, like something like a Big Eye, and then you can go in the access code. It's niche as hell, trust me, it really is niche. I never ever use this package. It's good, but if you don't want to play it, I get it, you can play something else. Like I said, your deck sort of lacks uniformity in terms of attributes, so you're not always going to be able to go into Dark, at least certainly not before going into the likes of Big Eye or Dark Neos or Diabolosis. So you're going to be having to commit a ton of resources to that play, which isn't always worth it. So it is up to you. I personally would probably just find more rank 7s to play, but there really aren't that many good ones, if I'm being honest with you. So do with that information what you will. I do think at least one Cerberus though. I think Cerberus just as generic removal, maybe even the Phoenix as just generic removal, might be a little bit more suitable to the deck's needs and sensibilities. But again, I leave that decision in your hands. If you think of anything in particular that you find cool and you want to let me know, of course you can throw it in the comments, or you can hop into the Discord and let me know in the Discord. But yes, that's the whole deck. If you got any questions, of course, that's why the Discord exists. You can hop in. If you got this far and you haven't subscribed yet, I would highly encourage you to subscribe and like the video. And of course, if you have the means and the desire, memberships are there. I really would appreciate anyone and everyone who does. And yeah, that's pretty much us. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.